Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, episode 35, Spennymoor. Special sponsored by Jade Bell Hair Game Tune and fake spot sponsor DJ Private Hire. Join us tonight for our Spenny special. We have Dan and Desi, lads. Thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having us, really.
Yeah, and I think I was looking back at this show and I was kind of looking at all the clubs that we've had on and kind of the season, what's just gone by. And it was unbelievable kind of what's actually happened in one season as Spennymoor, with the change of the managers, the amount of players in and out as well. So it'll be interesting to kind of get your thoughts on that as we go through as well. But that's where we're going to start kind of going over last season and with yourself, Dan, and lots of players in and out, and obviously Morley Johnson there. Big change were expected. And what was your thoughts going into the season with the new look Spenny side and kind of managers not from the North East?
Yeah, I think I sat on this just after Bern and John had left last year. And I was saying before that, at the start of the season, you know, we were really hyped up. We were thinking, yeah, we've got this. We've got this appointment spot on. We've got the recruitment's been good. We're going in full of praise, and then we sort of drew the first 5 or 6, and then little cracks started appearing, and you started thinking, have we got this right? And then I say when we came on last time. And we said about the next appointment being massive and being right. And I think everyone knew really that Jason was going to be the one to come back in. The surprise was having Chan as his assistant, and Chan, Lewis, they did an incredible job. For us to even be in a sniff of the playoffs come the end of the season, considering the position we were in, I thought was awesome.
Oh, really good, yeah. And Desi, yourself, I mean, obviously it didn't last long with the lads there. Ainsy comes back in. And again, obviously, because the amount of players that they brought in, Ainsy didn't quite fancy them. And for a few weeks, it was kind of players in, players out, players loaned in, players loaned out. At that point, when you've seen such a change around in players, only a kind of few month or so into the season, where you kind of were at that stage, what would be next for Spennymoor?
Well, it's always the same, isn't it? When you get a change of manager, sort of part way through the season, you never know what's going to happen. But like Dan said there, we only lost 1 in the first 10 games under Bern and Jono, but we actually only won 2. We were drawn a lot, and like you said, the cracks started to appear, things weren't right, and travelling up from Manchester must get to everybody at some point. And like you said, Jason and then Chan come in. Our first game under Chan and Jason, we went to Fylde and drew 2-2. And we played absolutely fantastic that night. And you think, wow, this might work, But then we had sort of a bad spell towards Christmas time. And then we thought, well, the season's anything that was a bonus, really. The players started to come and go as Bern and Jono's players left, new players come in. And anything, we'd have been happy, really, to finish in the playoffs. But unfortunately, we only just missed out in the end.
Yeah, very lucky. And Dan, that's kind of, obviously, like you say, the results did pick up, and all of a sudden it was kind of, you know, we could actually hit the playoffs here. At what point did you kind of think, right, this is actually turned around, we've got a good chance of actually finishing in them playoffs?
I think sort of internally between us, we were joking on and saying it's going to happen quite early on, weren't we, Des?
Yeah.
Obviously, that was a bit of light-hearted cracking banter between ourselves. Yeah. But I think realistically, probably the back end of February, we went on a crackers run between sort of the back end of February and the end of the season. And I think we lost once in 8 or 9, and we were looking at each other and we were going, you know what, we've got half a chance here. We've got half a chance, and. And the closer it got, the closer the end of the season got, the more you were thinking, the more you were believing. And then, obviously, I know we're going to touch on the last game of the season later on, but obviously we were in, we were out, we were in, we were out. And then, yeah, it was a typical Spennymoor season, really, in that, you know, we've always been there or thereabouts, or we've had something to play for come the last game of the season. And I think deep down, at one point we thought, look, let's just stay up. At one point, you know, we were
it did look towards Christmas time. We were looking a bit on the edge, weren't we?
Yeah, we were looking over our shoulders. We were 2 or 3 points above the relegation zone, and you know, the the unthinkable almost became thinkable. But again, credit to the management team and the lads that come in and turned it around. I think one thing that we did far too much of last season was we had a massive reliance on loan players. But again, obviously circumstances and managers coming and going, and managers taking players, new manager not necessarily wanting players that are already at the club. We basically had to rebuild a whole new squad 12, 13 games into the season. So to finish where we did, I thought was outstanding.
Yeah, really good. And Desi, I mean, we had Mark Anderson, I think it's about 3 or 4 games to go off the top of my head, and he didn't want to say it on live on there, but you could see he was quite confident. It is the group of lads that was coming out on the bus from somewhere. They had this Sky Sports app. They said, hold on a second, we've actually got a chance getting these playoffs if we keep winning. And I'll never forget that final deal. I knew I was trying to keep the group updated. You were in, you were out, and other teams were up, they were down. It was crazy. I mean, what was it like, obviously, for yourselves, the Spennymoor fans at that final game of the season?
But I'll just go back. With about 8 games to go, we had a really good chance, and then we had a bad result, and you think, oh, well, we're out of it. But then the results go away with other teams. So you're going down to 6, 5, 4. Then like you said, to the final day, we still had a chance. And I think at one point on the last game of the season, we were actually up to 4th. And then I think Kidderminster and Scarborough scored, and literally within an injury time, we were out the playoffs again. So you go through every emotion. You think at the start of the day, anything would have been a bonus. Obviously, would have loved to have made it, but all we could do was win our game, which we did, and it was unreal because we were in. Like you said, we were in, out, in, out. It was like the hokey cokey. But unfortunately, we just fell a little bit short at the end. But that's football, I suppose.
No, but a great way and away at the end of the season it was as well. And just before we get on to the managers' talk as well, I just want to say a massive thank you again to everyone that's watching, smashing past double figures already. Absolutely amazing. Dan Gray's comment there. John McGill's Black and White Army. He's got in the comments there. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I think about 40 away now from that 1K. It'll be massive if you can hit that subscribe button tonight for us and help us get as close as we can to it. And getting on to obviously managers, Dan, and obviously the season ends, and it was all, will Ainsley stay? Would it be someone else coming in? What was your thoughts kind of on the manager before Chandler was appointed, and are you happy with the appointment now?
Massively happy. I think, again, between ourselves, we couldn't see anyone other than Jamie being appointed. It was set up perfect for him, really. Jamie's a very good coach in his own right.
Yeah.
And just having that sort of steady head of Jason alongside him for the majority of last season just set it up perfect for him to get the job. We've been talking to him and Lewis quite a lot over pre-season, and they're so approachable. They're honest. They'll tell you what they think, and they'll tell you where they think the team needs improving, where they think we're looking good. And again, nobody knows the club better than Jamie Chandler, who was available. So yeah, absolutely delighted with the appointment.
Yeah, and we touched on there, Des, like you say, a great coach in the North East as well. Also got a young manager. Also been in Spenny for quite many years now, a lot of teammates who's been there. What would it be like now for that to go in the change room as manager and kind of put your stamp on things now, do you think?
Well, I was actually talking to Jimmy on Tuesday about how he sort of had the transition from being a player. He said he did find it difficult at first because obviously he's friends, and now he's got to change that like sort of line where he can't be friends so much. He said he did find it difficult, but now he loves it, and he wouldn't change it for the world. He doesn't miss playing. He said he actually played with his kids on Sunday, and he was knackered after 5 minutes. So, but he's loving it. Like Dan said, he's really approachable. He's always honest, as Lewis Dickman is as well. And I think he's perfect for the club at this time because he knows the club inside out, and he knows about the town, the fans. I just think it's the right appointment. Mind if you ask if in 12 months' time we're being relegated, then it won't be. But no, in all honesty, I really think we'll do really well this year. Like, I think we'll make the playoffs definite. without that. That's the best squad we've had for years, to be honest. There's no lone players, and from what I've seen in the pre-season, we look really good in every position.
Yeah, a bit of like a fresh air in there, got like a young coach coming in, new ideas, and sometimes you just need that. I think he will do well. It's Spenny, and Bobby's just asking in the comments there, why didn't it work out for Burno and Jono? It clearly didn't work. I mean, I think looking obviously those documentaries and the Salford stuff, and they always had that core of players that they used to take around to every club and they had that success. And I think once them players got old and kind of retired, they kind of then struggle to then get that next core of players when they were going around the keep. Seem to struggle. I mean, just starting with yourself, Dan. Why do you personally think that didn't work out for them?
Yeah, I think I think the travel. I think they massively underestimated not necessarily the commitment that they needed to put in. But the travel. We did a charity match the day after the decision was made for them to leave, and they were part of that. And Byrne, Jono, Stevie Halford, and Martin Campbell, who was a goalkeeper coach, they still travelled up to Spennymoor on the Sunday and played in a charity match. Now that says to me just what type of people they were. They were superb. Yeah. They were proper football people. Again, very very approachable. Always had time to have a bit of crack after the game. Very open and honest. But yeah, I just think they really underestimated the travel. And again, like you said, they do have a core of players that follow them around, and I think they found it harder to recruit and to bring them to the northeast than they would have done, like what they're doing with Radcliffe now.
That was an issue for them. They don't really know the northeast leagues, so they had to sort of get players from further down, and it's difficult to get players like from lower levels to come up, especially if they're not all going to be playing. If they're going to be sat on the bench, it becomes hard. The travel becomes difficult for them.
It does, doesn't it? Like you said, hopefully now back down where they are, they're going to be doing wonders. Because like you say, they're two great managers, and I'd expect them to be up there wherever they are with any club, to be honest, as well. In touching on signings, and obviously it's been a busy transfer window as well, and down with yourself, Restart and Sam Field and James Montgomery and Will Hallis will give you the first four coming in. What's your thoughts on them first four lads coming in through the door?
Yeah, very strong. Very strong. I think Montgomery is huge. We've really lacked. We've had some very good goalkeepers over the last few years, but we've lacked a permanent goalkeeper. Someone with as much experience as what he's got, the quality that he's got, the way that he can play out from the back, the way he commands his area. I just think he's going to be one of the most important signings that we've made this summer. In terms of the other lads, it's the players that we've lost. I think we've recruited very, very well. The lads that have the lads that have come in have all got decent experience at this level or above. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm really happy with them four in particular that you've just rhymed off.
Yeah, and Desi, the four for yourself, I was Keenan, Ferguson, Ben Pollock, Owen Gallagher, and Josh Jotty. Your thoughts on them four lads coming in as well?
Yeah, I think to be honest, all eight we've brought in a young, hungry sort of players, which sort of fit the mould of what Chandler's trying to build. Yeah, something not all like from the northeast, but they all sort of have roots are tied up here in some way. So I think, and watching Gallagher for a couple of times, he looks very sharp, and obviously he can play left back, left wing back, up front on the right wing. Keenan Ferguson, again, he's settled in decently so far. I mean, it's early days, it's pre-season, but from what I've seen of them so far, every one of them look good. But I've got to mention, it's the lads that was here last year. Connor Shanks was unbelievable on Tuesday night, absolutely unreal. And Rossi, they've come back and they're looking fit and sharp as ever.
That's it, isn't it? And Johnny Edge mentioned there, we always look better fresh with Lafundu in the side. I think he's going to be missed, which we're just going to touch on in a moment as well. And Bobby's just mentioned there, Pollock a bit potty in his last two clubs, the last couple of seasons. getting on to now the outgoing and obviously the off the field at Spennymoor as well. And Dan Flatters, Payne, Preston, Thompson, Watt. Wilkie all let go, like we just mentioned there in the comments for Fundu. Joe Tate leave, Blackett then leaves for South Shields as well. Were you disappointed with any of them names that we just mentioned there leaving the club?
Yeah, obviously the most obvious ones are Blackett, Lefudu, Tate. Tate's a top lad. He's an absolute nut job, but he's quality. Got all the time in the world for anyone and everyone who speaks to him. He'll give you it all back. He's going to be a big miss in terms of his character. His voice, his passion. He loved playing for us. Lefudu, obviously, he's our player of the year last year. Direct, very, very good going forward. Little bit iffy defending, but overall, he will be a big miss. I agree with the lad who commented there. However, the same with Blackett. Blackett's going to be the biggest miss in my opinion. I think the way that he linked up with Taylor last year was incredible. Even some of his individual goals, that goal at Alfreton, just inside the halfway line where he's just leathered it 35, 40 yards. But that's football. We always knew that it was inevitable South Shields were going to get promoted into this league. And when they did, they were going to be big hitters in terms of what they could offer players. So obviously it's only speculation, but from what I've heard about what they've offered both Lefudu and Blackett, is something that we couldn't even come close to. Even just the fact that it's full-time football. Lefudu's living his dream, and Blackett was very open and honest, and he always said, if a chance came to get back into full-time football, then I would like to take it. And I suppose it's worked out all right for all of us. We've received fees.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, let's say that's football. That's the way it goes. Players are going to get their heads turned by good. Let's face it, South Shields is a good club. It's a big club in terms of their fan base and what they've accomplished over the last few years. So you cannot really blame them for moving on. It's how and who we've replaced them with is just to see how we move forward now.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. And Desi as well. I mean, lots of players coming and going, but also a lot of players signing new contracts. I know a few, when they were mentioned on social media, a few hums and ha's about certain players. Was anyone kind of that you were thinking, why is he getting another year deal on any of the names that were staying?
Well, I don't think it's a shock, but you could say James Curtis. As I mean, he's drawn his old age pension, and year after year, he just keeps going and keeps going. But if you ask any of the lads, they'll say Curtis is still as fit as any of them, and he's still a great defender. He's another one to have on the club. Just his character would be unbelievable. But going back on the players that have gone, the one for me that I would have liked to stop would have been Reece Kendall as well.
Yeah,
I thought he fits the mould of a good young player with potential, and I'm surprised he's gone. But for whatever the reasons be, good luck to the lad. We wish him, rest him well. We'll miss Katie, like you said, his banter after the games and that. But going back to sign Anderson, we're really pleased he's re-signed because he gives us something different. He's a great passer of the ball, probably the best passer and creative player we've got at the club, to be honest. So yeah, I'm glad they've all re-signed, to be honest, really.
Yeah, it's good times. And off the field as well, Dan, I know obviously the massive work like you do at the club as well, but obviously off the field, obviously new manager coming in, the ladies team going all the time, community meals, back in disability football, pitch improvements, manager directors. It just seems to be getting bigger and better year by year. And is that how it feels? Obviously going there, kind of, I don't know if you do go there all the time, but obviously I know you're there for match days and off the field stuff. And are you kind of proud of how the club's come over the last few seasons now?
Oh, definitely. I think that the next logical step in sort of the club's development, if you like, would be to go to a sort of hybrid model or even full time at some point. But I think everything that the club's doing now is going to gear up to that. Like I said, the ladies last year phenomenal, promoted. Now they're playing some big teams in their league. You know, they've got, I think, 6 buses to put on this year. Moves in the community, you know, Luke, Cowie, doing great things again with all of these, like you said, disability sessions, working schools, feeding the community meals. You know, £3 for a meal delivered to your door. Everything that the club are doing now was a pipe dream 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. You know, and that's testament to Brad's vision. That's never changed. You know, if you talk to Brad, he'll chew your ear off for 2 or 3 hours and think now of it, and you'll come away thinking, you know, believing every word that he says. You know, if he says that snow's red, once you've talked to him, you'll believe that snow's red. He's just that type of person. So, you know, once he says something's going to happen, it'll happen.
Yeah, and Desi as well, like you mentioned, obviously the Northern League and the stepping up in the first couple of years, a lot of people kind of said this is Spennymoor, but now that they use them as an example, as this is what Creed can now do, going from the Northern League and going up the standards. And I bet it's great now, just kind of looking and just thinking we've actually got a National League North side in a small area like such as Spennymoor. It must be great for the area.
Yeah, well, when we first went up, what was it, 5 years ago now? When we were playing like massive teams like Stockport County, and we were sort of the little fish in the pond at the time. I mean, we still are little fish, but when you look at, like Dan said, how the club's gone over the last 5 or 6 years, the pitch is probably one of the best in the league now, and other clubs now look at us on our model to see how they can improve. Well, we would always look at bigger clubs to think how we can do it. Now it's becoming the other way around. Everyone looks at our pitch, our clubhouse, and everything. The facilities are just first class. And like you brought in there with the ladies team also getting involved in disability football and everything else under one massive sort of umbrella, the club can only look forward to a very good future.
Yeah, just on the academy as well. Obviously, the academy is now playing back in Spennymoor. So for the last couple of years, they've been training at Peterlee and playing the games at Maiden Castle. Gav Cogden's now head of academy. He's putting together a college program, so we can play in the college leagues, and he's obviously got the academy back playing in Spennymoor at Whitworth Park School with a 4G pitch that's going down finally. So all things such as that, you know, and then like Desi mentioned about the pitch, our best signing for me is bringing our groundsman back, Mark Slaterholm, from he left and went to South Shields for about 6 weeks, and we managed to persuade him to come back. For me, that's the best signing out of the lot. You know, Mark does unbelievable work on our pitch, and he's very good at what he does. He kills you if you even step foot on it, but that's a massive part of the type of football and the philosophy that Jamie and Lewis have said that they want to play. You know, they want to play good, free-flowing attacking football on the floor. And if you haven't got the pitch to do that on, it's not going to work. So,
if you look back at our pitch like 5 years ago, it was like a cow field, and every time it rained, the game would get called off. Exactly, and it was horrific, to be honest. But now, I mean, last season, I don't think we had a single game called off due to the weather. Nothing. The pitch was immaculate the whole season. Mm-hmm. And we've even spent money now buying one of them heat lamps for the top goal. So where the sun doesn't sort of get on it, the heat lamp goes on there over the winter, and it's perfect now all year.
Extra drainage put in as well over pre-season.
Fantastic. Really moving forward off the field and on as well. And before we get up next season, a couple of more comments coming in as well. We are going to be touching on soon predictions of kind of where the team will finish next season. So anybody that's watching, where do you think Spenny will finish next season? Get them comments in, which we'll go through very shortly. Bobby's just mentioning how do you think that the team will line up next season? Desi, your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think personally, we'll play a sort of 3-4-1-2 formation. I think he'll start. This is just my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but I think obviously Montgomery will start in goal. I think we'll have a back three of maybe Pollock and Becker, Staunton. Then we'll have the new lads, the lads from South Shields left wing back, King and Ferguson right wing back, and then the centre midfield. I think it'll be Rossi and Greenfield or Field, any two of them three. And I think Robbie will play in the 10 role, sort of behind Taylor and Harris or Gallagher.
Mm.
So it's going to be a 3-4-1-2. That's of what I've seen in pre-season. That's what but obviously we've got options in every position now, so we can easily change that. Like,
definitely agree with that one, Dan.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because I haven't made a pre-season game yet. I'm just getting back off holiday.
Been a busy lad.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't see that being too far wrong. I think if you go off what sort of formation we played last year, that was more or less that. There might have been times where we dropped it back into a 4 at the back or whatever, but I don't think you'll be far off for that, Des.
Yeah, but like I said, we've got plenty of options. I didn't even mention like Sparky there. Connor Shanks could come in, Corey McEwen, so we can quite easily change things in any way we wanted to. We now do have plenty of options all over the field.
That's it, isn't it? Like Johnny's mentioned there, like we just touched on earlier, kind of begrudge the lads moving for better wages. I think the permanent goalkeeper, coming in is a big factor. A few hours early days last season by Lords. Yeah, I think especially a goalkeeper, it's a massive part of the field now, and I think you just have someone there, especially like the leadership and who's been around the block a few times, like Montgomery. I think he'll be a leader on and off the field in the changing rooms. Obviously played at a little bit higher level as well. I think he'll be a huge signing next season as well. And confidence in the keeper is massive. Yeah, definitely that only grows consistency. Definitely next season. Yeah, keep getting them predictions in as well. We're going to go through them in a few moments. Still double figures watching. Absolutely amazing support as always. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well. But yeah, touching on the next season now, and start with yourself. That obviously with what you've seen come in so far. I know we haven't seen any of the pre-season games. But what else would you like to see come in now, and any other players who you would really like to see come in the club as well?
I think one of the most pleasing things is we haven't gone into pre-season with a load of trialists.
Yeah,
it was a big thing talking to Jamie and Lewis before our pre-season started. They were saying they wanted a settled squad. Now I know you might get the odd trialist here and there, but years gone by we've had 5, 6, 7 trialists in squads right up until the game before the season started. So from the outside looking in, seeing that we've got a settled squad, a really good balanced squad. I think for the majority of last season we had one left-footed player in the squad. This year we've got 2 or 3. We're looking solid in terms of cover. We've got lads that can play in 2 or 3 different positions. So in terms of that, I'm over the moon. For a prediction, I think I was way off last year. I had 50 quid in us to win the league. That was gone by Christmas. But I think again we've got to be challenging for playoffs. I think even if you ask any of the lads, I think if we don't make the playoffs, I think that'll be seen as a massive disappointment.
Yeah, and like you say, you've seen a couple of the pre-season friendlies now. I mean, from what you've seen on shore, what other positions do you think that the pros need to bring in before the start of the season?
Well, being totally honest, I don't really think that we need to bring anybody in, because we've got the core of the backbone of the club, like in the likes of Taylor, Curtis, Robbie, and now we've brought in Montgomery. We've sort of got the spine of the team.
Yeah,
and we've brought in a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, young, hungry players who want to improve themselves and improve the club, who get what it's all about. So I think, I don't really see where we can. Like I spoke to Jamie on Tuesday night, and he said, never say never. If the right person comes along that will make us better again, he will explore that and bring somebody in. But at the moment, maybe sort of the only position that we haven't got maybe covered so much for would be maybe right wing. But apart from that, everybody, I mean, we have got players that can play there. We haven't got sort of a main right out and out winger. We've got Corey who plays mainly on the left, but we've got nobody for the right hand side. But I'm more than happy with what we've got, and I think top 7's definite. Top 3 maybe is a little bit of a push, but I think we'll make the playoffs without a doubt.
Yeah, I think with the group of players there now, and obviously the last few seasons, you've always seen Spenny up there challenging for the playoffs or even a bit higher. And I think with that group of lads in the change rooms, and I think any manager there at any level, even if you know you might be kind of fighting against relegation, you've got to come in and say, right, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be fighting for the playoffs, if not higher. And that confidence just rubs off on a group of players, isn't it? I think that's what Channel will have. He'll be hungry young manager that want to go out and show what he can do now. And I think he'll be coming out and saying, right, this is our aim, this is where we want to be. And hearing that from someone, it just kind of pushed the lads on a bit more as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chan's openly come out and said, you know, the aim is promotion. I don't think you'd expect anything less from, you know, his career has always been quite positive in terms of his own achievements. So for him to have that confidence early, you know, the club did a little sort of behind the scenes video of the first day back of pre-season. He had them in the classroom, had a little video done from Desi and a couple of other fans saying what the club meant to the fans and the community. Really trying to get the players to buy in, you know, especially the new lads. And I think just the way that Jamie and Lewis are going to go down in terms of the coaching methods and, you know, the man management, I can't see us doing any worse than finishing the playoffs. I really can't. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definite.
Yeah, and like I said before, if we do finish outside, I think that'll be seen as a major disappointment.
Yeah. Like I say, finish on the predictions, and Dan's in the comments just adding a couple of extra ones on there, which we'll definitely go with that because I like that. So I know you said playoffs, Dan. Who do you think will be top goal scorer, player of the year, and signing of the season?
Top scorer,
Well,
I think you've got to go.
Look no further than Glenn Taylor for the top goal scorer. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'll let you do player of the year, Des.
Player of the year. Oh, but again, you look at Glenn Taylor will not be far off. But for me, if he keeps himself fit and plays regular, I think Connor Shanks is going to be having a really good season for us. As for signing, I mean, obviously it's a bit early to say, but like Dan brought it up earlier, I think James Montgomery's the biggest signing we've got because you build your team on the back from the back, and all successful teams have a good dressing room. And like you said, Monty brings that experience, and the lads seem to all get on well. So I think we'll do well this year.
I think Ben Pollock's going to be a big one as well. You know, and somebody else who knows he knows the club. You know, even though he's never played for us, he's been brought up around Spennymoor. You know, with his dad being manager, and obviously his relationship with Jason, and he knows the club without knowing the club, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And obviously just going off his last couple of seasons with Boston and I think it was Hereford, wasn't it? You know, his performances against us have always been up there. So to bring somebody in with that experience, that sort of cool head, that ability to get on the ball and play forward, I think he's gonna be the most underrated player of the season. I think he'll just go about his business and nobody will notice him.
Yeah, from watching the pre-season games so far, we do seem to play a lot of football out from the back. We're not like hoofing it up the field. We're playing decent football, and like we said, and Becker, Pollock, both decent ball playing centre backs. So I think it can only get better for us.
No, it definitely looks good. And Bobby just mentioned there he has a good feeling. But just want to jinx it. But we're looking much stronger at the back. And finally, with Bobby's question to finish off there, what's your prediction against Banbury?
I'll let you go first, Dan.
It was tough last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, forget about the football. It was last game of the season. It was a great day out. Last away game, fancy dress and that. It was a great day out. And then when you top it off to score a last minute winner, it just makes it an unbelievable day.
Yeah. I mean,
so I'll go for the same as last year. I'll take a 1-0 win with a last minute winner.
Yeah.
They've gone through a bit of a change, haven't they? You know, they've lost their manager. They've brought a new manager in. They've lost probably half a dozen players as well. They had quite a few trialists in their squad the other night. It's hard, isn't it? Because first game of the season, everybody's up for it. Everybody's wanting to impress. We tend to start fairly well. I know the last 2 years we were just pleased that it wasn't Hereford away, weren't we, Des?
Yeah, well, that's how I thought it was going to be Hereford away again. Yeah,
and with Drew. So I think we have to go there full of confidence and sort of set our stall out early and get playing our football and the way we want to play and control the game. And I'm going to go for a 2-0.
I mean, if you look at our fixtures over the first month of the season, on paper we've got. I know you don't play on paper, and it's like everybody says there's no easy games in the league. But realistically, if you look at it, we have a decent run, and come the end of August, we could end up like right up there to start with, and then you just keep the momentum going, and we're laughing.
Definitely, but either way, it's going to be an exciting season, especially some of the North East games. Now it's going to be magical next season, that division as well. But honestly, lads, we wish you the very best of luck, and I know myself and Parker's going to try and get along next season, a couple of games as well, and we'll try and get as many games as we can as possible next season. Hopefully we'll see you down at the Brew Field as well. But lads, thank you very much for coming on the short night. We've got the South Shield special on Tuesday night as well. Got a few shows next week. Wife's away, so get some more extra shows on when she's away. But no, lads, thank you very much, and everyone that's been watching as well. Loads of people still watching now, so we really appreciate your support. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well, and we'll join you back on Tuesday night for our South Shield special. Thanks for watching.